Hi there. In this lesson, I'm going to look at the area of a trapezium using a formula, and it's actually a quicker way of doing it than the previous lesson, which was splitting into two triangles and then working out the individual triangles and adding them together. However, that is still a good method and quite easy to remember. This, if you can't remember formulae and you find it difficult to memorize things you don't understand, this is maybe not the way to go. However, it's quicker and some people will be able to use it. Right, so let's look at this in a general sense. So for a trapezium, we're going to label the kind of sides, the bottom bit and the top bit, slightly differently. I'm going to use A for the base of the bottom triangle and B for the base of I suppose it's the top, but the bottom of the other triangle, and the height's going to remain as a H. So if you were working out the area of triangle A, just using letters, using a formula technique, it would be a half A times H, wouldn't it? So that times that and half it, so a half A times H. And the same for B, you would do a half B times H. Okay, and what you do is you'd add these two things together. I know this is a lot of algebra, that's the idea of it. So I'm going to kind of remove the multiplication signs. In algebra, if you do A times B, you can just write it as AB. So I'm going to kind of shorten it a wee bit to a half AH plus a half BH. So I'm adding these two answers together to try and create this formula. Right, the last step, I'm not sure you've done before. You've probably not done factorising. However, you can pull out a half and the H from both parts, because basically this A has been multiplied by a half and a H, and this B has been multiplied by a half and a H. So I'm going to remove it and put A plus B. So a half H and then A and then a plus B, and if I timesed all that out, I would get this bit at the start. That may be a wee bit complicated for you to understand if you're just, for example, in first year. Anyway, this is the formula for the area of a trapezium. So basically what we're doing is we're halving the height and multiplying it by A added to B. So we're adding A and B and we're multiplying that by a half of the height. Now let's see what happens when we do this with the ones before. This was the one in the last video lesson. So I've got my A down the bottom and I've got my B at the top and I've got my height. So the formula is area is a half H bracket A plus B. Now if I'm putting the numbers in, I'm basically doing a half of 8 and I'm doing 3 plus 18 or 18 plus 8. It doesn't really matter which way around you add these two. It comes to the same answer basically. So you half the 8, which is 4, and you're timesing the 4 by the answer to this bit. So we're basically doing 4 times 21. So that answer there, half of 8, is that bit. And then the 3 plus the 21 is that bit, and you're timesing them. And if you do 4 times 21, you're going to get 84 centimeters squared. And that's pretty much it. Now let's try it one more time with the example we did before as well. So we've got our trapezium here, it's the sideways one. The formula is area is a half H A plus B. Now the H is the sideways bit, which is the 40. So you're halving 40 and then you're doing 50 plus 60 or 60 plus 50. It doesn't really matter which way around you do that. So these are the kind of separate calculations that you're doing. You're doing that bit and you're doing that bit and you're timesing your two answers. So half 40 is 20 and then you're doing 110 for that bit. So add a 0 and double it and you'll get 2200 millimeters squared. Now again, if you check out the last video lesson, the long way of doing it, the same answers are gained if you like. However, this is much shorter and quicker. I would always recommend doing the maths you can remember and understand fully, but you're welcome to practice this technique as well.